Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is Friday, a day in May, 22nd, perhaps, 23rd, 21st, 20, I think it's 22nd, which means I am 1 week and 1 day out from Legion Sports Festival. That'll be technically my second bodybuilding show, but really it's my first. The one I did just about 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Was a practice show. It was to get some experience, get my feet wet. So I don't really count it. It was a legitimate show. It was a great show. It was a great experience. But that wasn't the one I targeted. That wasn't I didn't have my conditioning on point. Like we didn't. It was just to test the waters and kind of learn, make some mistakes without any pressure, that sort of thing. And now being a week out from the real thing, I'm really glad we did that. Just thinking back to a couple weeks ago, even with it just being a practice show, going for fun, going to learn, the stress was peaking. I mentioned it in the recap. There's just, with bodybuilding, there's so much stuff to keep track of. I mean, I've been getting my packing list ready, and it's a lot based on the one that I did for the last show, but the last show was local, so I didn't have to bring a bunch of stuff with me for staying in a place and that sort of thing. So I got my CPAP machine, my insulin for my diabetes. I got to bring stuff to shower. I got to bring a change of clothes. I got to bring a bunch of extra stuff because I'm going out to Reno, and we're staying in Reno, Nevada for a few days. So I was doing the packing list last night. I was like, man, this packing list is so much bigger than it ever is for these strongman shows that I go compete in. Because there's just so much. The spray tan is high maintenance. I got to bring specific stuff like for my hair, for my mustache, like all these presentation, because bodybuilding is about looks, whereas strongman, it doesn't fucking matter what you look like. So making sure that I'm ready for stage presentation, making sure that everything's on point. There's just so much stuff to keep track of, and having done all of that once already and having it in recent history, feeling way better about it. I mean, I'm going to have a busy Monday, which thankfully is a holiday. I'm going to have a busy Monday just getting everything ready and packed and ready to go, because once Tuesday hits, between work and then like final posing practice sessions, final training sessions, the water load, to cut down, make weight and all that stuff. Once Tuesday hits, every day is completely packed schedule-wise. So I'm going to have to pack just about everything Monday night, or sometime Monday. It'll just be things like, my toothbrush and toothpaste, my CPAP machine, stuff like that will be packed, at the last minute, because I got to use some of that stuff between now and then. But yeah, we're doing it. We're getting into it. Conditioning is better than it was 2 weeks ago. Obviously, I've been continuing to lose weight. We got more aggressive with the cardio. We got more aggressive a little bit with the deficit, food intake. So continued to lean out, made a lot of progress on that, surprisingly, in such a short time. Posing, we've improved dramatically, just continuing to practice, but also incorporating judge feedback, incorporating feedback from, even just my coach who's been working with me, every day, every week, every month, for the past 14 months, him seeing me on stage and how I perform on stage versus seeing me up in the posing room in a normal environment. Like, even he has like new data and new feedback to create his own changes in what we're doing. So even though he's been with me the whole time, there's still that show generated new things he wanted to work on, new things he wanted to focus on. There's things that maybe I did really well in posing, in practice in the gym, that I forgot on stage, or there might be certain like presentation, like the what is the word I'm thinking of? Not etiquette, not quite presentation, but there's things that he's gonna see on stage that he won't see in the gym, and in some cases just things that I'm doing differently or doing better in each case. When you pose in the gym, it's just, you just trained, or you're about to train, you're just practicing the poses and hitting the positions and stuff. But at the show, we're carbing back up, we're bringing the glycogen back in the muscles, we're getting water and sodium we're doing all these things to get the body, maximally full without spilling over, having water under the skin to make sure you have the best look. And there's no way to replicate that in the gym, in the posing room, or just like random days of the week. So we got a lot of great data there, even completely disregarding the external feedback we got from like judges, other competitors, friends of ours, stuff like that. He got data, I got data, just seeing me go through that process. So we're going into this one, even though it's only 2 weeks later, even though 2 weeks is not a lot of time to really make any meaningful, you can't change your physique, you can't build muscle in 2 weeks. But even so, the package that I'm going to bring to the stage in Reno is already looking to be significantly better than the one that I brought to San Jose. No difference in level of effort, no difference in focus, just we've learned, we've collected data, we've got information and results to course correct on. So that's what we've been doing. I'm going in with more confidence because, again, now I know the sequence. I know how a bodybuilding show works. I had some idea ahead of time. You look at it on paper, like, oh, okay, so this is the schedule. You talk to bodybuilders, like, how, what is the day of the show like? And they'll tell you, from what they can remember, what they focus on, the things they pick up on. But, excuse me, it's still different actually going through it. And now that I've actually gone through it and experienced it, there's just, there's gonna be some differences with, this will be a bigger show. So when I did the show in San Jose, it was like my division had two really classic physique. I only had one person I was competing against directly. So, we went out, we did our thing, and that was it. This one is gonna be a much bigger show, more competitive show. So people are gonna be going out in groups, and they're gonna be, there's first call out, second calls, you're gonna get compared again and again, things that didn't happen in this one. But I'm aware of those differences. They're not really gonna change anything about how I do things. So yeah, we're going into this, I know what to expect now, reasonably. And so we're just in a much better place. So yeah, doing that practice show, we decided, I wanted to do it, or like decided that I wanted to do it only like a few days before the show. And I brought it to my coach, and he decided to let me do it. Or I guess he can't not let me, but to be on board with it, he decided that a few days before the show. It's a very last minute thing, and I think we're both really, really glad I did that. And yeah, this show should be fantastic. I'm excited to get out there. We're gonna go watch the IFBB Pro show after I'm done. And then 2 weeks after that, I compete again in Sacramento, and that'll wrap up my debut season. 3 shows over the course of a month and a half. Pretty solid. And then, obviously I'll do a recap of the whole experience and kind of talk about what's next from there, in terms of strength sports and, whether or not I can rehab my lower back and get back to competing at strongman at a high level. I'm definitely not done with strongman, but am I done going overseas to compete? Am I done, doing these shows that require me to travel? Potentially. It really depends on how long does it take me to get my strength back to where it needs to be. How long does it take to rehab this lower back? Can my lower back, am I going to be able to deadlift competitively? Deadlift's one of my biggest strengths in strongman. So if I can't get back to where I was, it might not be worthwhile to compete at a high level anymore. So these are things we got to evaluate and test out and mess around with. But once the shows are over, once I've had a few days to sit and digest and talk to my coach and talk to my mentor and kind of weigh things out as far as what's the best path forward, what's the most exciting, the most fulfilling path forward, then I'll have some answers on where do we go from here. In terms of like YouTube content, stuff like that, the whole reason I started this channel is to kind of document the process and the journey, going from pro strongman to bodybuilding, all the differences and stuff. So now that that's done, is YouTube done? No. I probably should have had a more dramatic pause there, but I already know from feedback from friends that have been watching my videos, from family that have watched my videos, and from strangers that have messaged me either on Instagram, where I, a lot of times I'll promote my YouTube videos in like a story post or something, or comment, on YouTube on the videos itself. The meal prep stuff does really well. People like to see that. I've been meal prepping for 10 years. I've been doing, I can eat the same thing every day for years at a time. And I've had a really busy schedule. I'm an engineer. I have a long commute. I coach. I have a girlfriend. Like, there's a lot of things that I have to balance my time with, which has led to a very efficient meal prep process. And if I'm going to eat the same thing every day, it's got to taste pretty good. So I've been cooking every meal with a crock pot for years. 99% of the meals I eat came out of a crock pot. So I have all these different types of meals, and I've already got some videos up. Like an Italian one, a Mexican one, a spicy one, which isn't really inspired by any specific cuisine. It's just a bunch of the things that I need to hit my macros, and they all taste pretty good. And none of them take any cooking skills. None of them take a lot of equipment. It's all quick. It's all easy. It all tastes delicious. None of it's dry because it's a lot of stews and soups or whatever. But kind of relating to the bodybuilding in this prep with going such a long time without a cheat meal, because again, with strongman, I don't cut cheat meals out until 3-4 weeks out from a show. I get really lean, but I'm able to do that with cheat meals. And bodybuilding is just so much more precise in terms of body composition that it's been like 12 weeks since I had a cheat meal. No, it's been like 14 now because I was 16 weeks out. So 15. It's been 15 weeks since I had a cheat meal, like a legitimate cheat meal, not like a refeed that is programmed for me and that sort of thing. But going that long and having the sweet tooth that I have and having the appreciation, I wouldn't call myself a foodie, but I do appreciate, the types of foods that I like, and a lot of those foods are not bodybuilding friendly. So in having these cravings that I've dealt with, and my Instagram feed is just full. Like, the algorithm knows that I want to see this stuff, that I want to eat this stuff, and that I can't. And so it's just constantly putting baked goods, and I have so much of that stuff in my feed now that it's kind of inspired me to look at actually developing a cooking skill. I've been listening to some audiobooks. The one that I just finished is Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. And it's just about like legitimate cooking skills and legitimate like cooking techniques, other than just throwing shit in a crock pot or in a pan on the stove and waiting till it's been cooked all the way. So I'm probably going to do a series on, hey, if you're like me, if you don't have any culinary skills at all and you want to kind of follow along and see what I'm learning, learn from my mistakes, see my successes, see my failures, and maybe get into it yourself. Maybe there's something you've always kind of wondered about, but you never really tried to do it yourself, and maybe you can watch me try it out and be like, what, if he can do that, I can do that. And maybe it's easier or it takes less time than you thought it would, and so maybe that there was a barrier to entry that you always thought was bigger than it really is. So I'll be putting stuff out like that, as I try new cooking techniques, new recipes, all that stuff. That'll be I'll make videos out of that. I'm going to do more of the protein ice cream stuff. I have several different recipes ready to go that are waiting for this prep to be done, because obviously being a week out from a show, there's not a lot of different protein ice creams I can make that'll be compliant with the macros that I'm on right now. So once the bodybuilding shows are done and my diet gets a little bit looser, it's not going to be like unhinged and completely like fucking Wild West, but it will be more forgiving. I've got some recipes that I'm going to try out. I've got the baseline that I want to try, and from there I'll kind of tweak things until it's what I want it to be, and I'll go through all those, how to do those, rate them based on how they taste or what type of mood you might be in for this to be like to really hit just right. I'm going to try some baked goods, which is a little bit different than culinary skills with my meal prep, but I'm going to try just sheerly for fun. And this isn't like healthy like protein cookies or protein brownies. These are just like straight up delicious ass fucking brownies and cookies that just taste good. That's all I'm going for, is what do I want to put in my mouth and never stop. So I bookmarked a bunch of these recipes that Instagram's been showing me. I'm going to try them out. And again, it'll be, as someone that has never really been into baking before, how difficult was this? How much time did it take? for someone of my skill level trying this out. How did it taste? How did it turn out? So I'll do a series like that, and I'll probably put all these in different playlists because not everyone's going to be interested in every one of those types of things. But so yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming. We've also got some videos that have been on the back burner for a minute because I wanted to have a certain physique before recording them. And the idea originally was to do some of these projects, to do the recording like right now, like right before the show. But as I became more experienced in bodybuilding and got further into the prep and learned more about how the physique and the body composition reacts to certain things, I'm actually going to wait until like the week. I might do it like a couple days after this first show when I'm refed and have all the glycogen back. I might record some stuff that we've had planned, but definitely once the second show is done, while I'm still lean, you know, before I've put on a lot of off-season type weight, still lean, but fed and fueled and with glycogen, I'll look a lot better than I do right now. And so that's when I'm going to do a lot of the recording that we've been holding off on. And we're going to get, like, you know, some cool training videos. You know, like we got some videographers at the gym that I'm going to work with and make some really cool shit. You know, more like motivational or like cinematic type stuff. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming. The YouTube journey is not over just because of the debut season. The transition from pro strongman to bodybuilder is done, or at least the initial phase is done. So we got a lot of stuff coming. I'm always open to suggestions from people. You know, if there's something that you want to see, if like knowing my background as a, you know, a Navy veteran, an engineer, a type 1 diabetic, now a bodybuilder, the strongman, powerlifting, you know, coaching. If there's anything you're wondering about with all that, and you want me to make videos, make content on that, you know, getting ideas for what to make always makes making more stuff easier. So leave a comment if you want to, if you know, there's certain things you want me to do once this show is done and the slate is kind of open. And yeah, I mean, subscribe if you haven't already. Share the videos. Maybe not this one because vlogs aren't everyone's cup of tea, but you know, share the videos, the protein ice cream, and with your friends, with your family, people that might be interested. And yeah, the next time I put a video up, it'll be in Reno. We'll do a vlog there. I'm going to do the interview with my coach, talking about what it's like to coach someone coming over from high-level strongman to bodybuilding. What were, you know, some of the advantages, disadvantages, type stuff. What were the things that I did that it just like annoyed the piss out of him, all that kind of stuff. So I got an interview. I got to send him the questions so he can start thinking about them in advance. And we'll do that interview once the show is done, before we head back here to California. So that'll go up pretty quick once it's done. That shouldn't take a lot of editing. So we made it. We're right at the wall, right at the border right now. And so yeah, one more week, and then we'll be on the stage out in Reno for the Legion Sports Festival. And I will see you then.